Change is constant and you have to constantly evolve. Success is not about the number. It's about how you can impact and influence. Greatness, it's about humility.
So thank you for being here, Dipali. It's a pleasure. Just to keep it open-ended, let's start giving a background of your journey, how it all started, in the early 2000s, and then how you moved on to where you are today.
So I must tell you, 2002 is the time when I realized that my girls were big and they were like 10 and 7, and that's the time I realized that I needed to do something. Because I always believe, as a human being, change is constant and you have to constantly evolve. Interestingly, I started from administration. I started learning about how our products are made, how they are purchased, what are the important ingredients that we need to buy, and what are the challenges there. To that extent, I also started getting educated in terms of technology and having computer lessons to everything. So that's where my journey began. And 2010 was the time I was entrusted the textile business, which in itself was very huge. So I was told that you know the consumer now, and it'll be interesting, how you're going to take on. So as usual, I just jumped into it. I always believe, and I come with that every day, is never give up. Kya hoga, like it's going to be, you're going to learn at the most, and that's what I did.
You mentioned your daughters were 10 and 7 at that point of time when you wanted to start the learning process, I would say. And you also at the same time are today an inspiration for a lot of your employees, your team, and women included. So how did you at a personal level, what were the challenges you faced balancing your role as a mother, and at the same time you need to inspire as a leader? So what were the challenges you faced and how did you overcome?
Challenges, if I look at it, I don't want to sound as a feminist, but when I got into textiles, this was a time when I realized, yes, being a woman is something. But I used to always say that on the other side, the consumer is a woman. So I better understand what they want.
Correct.
And what is that need. And that's what got me going.
You have, I saw on the walls here in your office, 4 values or focus areas that you're really working on, and which for you is like you have customer centricity, you have technology playing a role, you have collaboration, and the 4th one,
diversity and inclusiveness.
Inclusiveness. So which according to you is the most impactful or the most influential or the most challenging to kind of inculcate across your teams?
It's about inclusiveness. And I think as human beings, it's so important to have empathy. Even, if I talk about diversity and inclusiveness, it's not just about women, it's also about the specially abled. So at Welspun, we also focus on the specially abled, the deaf and mute as well, working with us. So I think the important aspect is inclusiveness, because somebody asked me what success means to you. And I always feel success is not about the number. It's about how you can impact and influence the communities that you live in. And finally, can business be the agent of change? And I think that's where it comes in.
What keeps you going in the sense, you said this is success, but is that the reason you come in terms of the change you can make happen?
When I talk about what keeps me going, I'll start from there, is my discipline. You can have the skill, you can have the aptitude, but if you don't have the discipline and the passion, you won't be consistent about what you do, and that drives me to what I do.
And how do you, so would you define that as greatness, or what is greatness as for you?
Greatness was about humility. वो बरगद का पेड़ होता है, वो जितना बड़ा होता जाता है उतना वो झुकता जाता है, and I think that's what it is all about for me.
So do you have a way in which you try and align teams towards a certain objective you're trying to meet? How do you influence all of this?
अपना काम करते रहो. I think that's what becomes you become a great example for them. I'll just again share an example. There was a girl called Avni, and we had done a special program with one of the biggest retailers globally, and she was chosen out of, I think, about maybe thousands and thousands of factories. Imagine, from Anjar to where she went in the United States was something that set so many aspirations. So I think it's all about examples. It's about aspiring and inspiring people.
In your life, is there an example you have who inspired you?
It's actually been my mother. And from the times I got aware was the time I saw her. She was working, my father wasn't well, but at the same time she would take up our lessons, and to see that we did well and excel in what we did in our schools, and till today, I mean, gone through so much. She's working consistently with the communities, and she set example for me, and that was my that is something has been my inspiration. Secondly, I think I've learned from my husband. He's been a great teacher to me. He's challenged me more than anything else.
So why don't you talk something more on innovation, because I understand you're pushing that as an agenda in your organization today. So are there some examples which, because of a challenge, they were created, or were they ideas which had to be met because that's what the future was?
So when we talk about Welspun as an organization in Welspun India, I think innovation is at our heart, and sometimes as organizations we become inward looking. But I think as Welspun we have always had kind of an ability to look outside and what the consumer is looking at. So we asked, what is she looking for? And that's where Hygro was born. And Hygro is a towel which actually is a technology which is growing stronger by the year. And it is about a towel that blossoms after every wash, or a sheet when it is woven has a very different characteristics. It actually regulates the temperature, which is inherent in the sheet. So we have a solution which is very unique, which actually traces back that product to the cotton from where it came in from. So that's called the Well Track as a process. And that we feel is kind of a stepping stone to the blockchain that the world is talking about.
Okay. Where do you, in 5 years or so, where do you see business heading? And are there some predictions from your side? You hear of AI and blockchain and machine learning. Do you think that's really going to change a lot the way we work today, or what are your comments on that?
So when we talk about technology, when we talk about innovation, it's always a need that is being created, and there is a need. There's a need for smart factories, and it's a very big word, but I think that's where we as a company feel that we need to get towards. And it's all about efficiency, it is all about competitiveness, it's all about productivity. And I think it's important that we should be aware of it, and that's where we are looking at it. I think Industry 4.0 is going to be a reality.
For the upcoming leader, or someone who's just finished college today and they're joining the corporate world, any words of caution, not what they should do, but something they shouldn't or be careful of in the corporate world?
I will not say about the corporate world, but I would always say, and is about overconfidence. That's what I tell my daughters also always, because we are seeing a generation which is a little impatient, and it's important to be impatient, but I think consistency is very, very key to what we do, and passion and attitude. I mean, that's going to take you a long, long way.
Great. Thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.